Welcome everybody to this week's Dissecting Design. I'll be taking a look at the somewhat polarizing classic game Valkyria Chronicles. This was another series by Sega during the PlayStation 3 era as an attempt to rebrand themselves. And despite having a cult classic status, it never quite blew up in the United States. And we want to talk about that as well as its unique design elements tonight. Now, this is again one of those games that was ported over, which means that it's kind of got those, it's not exactly the most technically polished title there, so we're going to try and keep this to as few cuts as possible. So, let me get into the game, and we will actually talk a little more about the story and design. Thankfully, it is quick loading, though. So, first thing that I want to talk about, one thing that I do like about Valkyria Chronicles is that the whole game is framed within this book that we're looking at here. Each chapter of the book represents different cutscenes and a mission. I always like when games integrate like the story or the theme directly into the UI like this. So, the game's story takes place alternate history of World War II, when a substance known as Ragonite, which is this game's kind of super MacGuffin, is sparking the war between two nations, the Empire and Gallia. You play as our hero here, which I can, thanks to our lovely little book, we can switch over, Welkin. And one of the things that's very interesting about the Valkyria Chronicles series is that it doesn't really glorify war or combat. It's always told from the perspective of the soldiers, the militia fighting. So it's more about trying to protect their homeland rather than, yay, we're going off to kill soldiers. Which gives it a different take compared to other military-themed titles. Now, what separated Valkyria Chronicles from other games is that it kind of mixes RPG, or specifically JRPG design, with tactical strategy. And it does it in some very clever ways, and a few of those I think I would like to see other games maybe adopt or take notes from. The first one being how progression works. So we're going to head over to our headquarters, which is unlocked a few chapters in. And one of the elements of the game that's very similar to JRPG design, or specifically like something like Fire Emblem, is that every one of your squad members is a unique character. And of course, being a JRPG game, everyone has a unique quirk or something along those lines. So you have someone who's hyperactive, someone who's the stoic, quiet one, and so on. Characters are split into different classes, with Welcome being unique as the tank commander. But normally we have scouts, which move the furthest and have an okay gun. Shock troopers, which are basically your standard infantry unit, but they're not good against tanks. Lancers, which are anti-tank units. Engineers, who are your backup support, and snipers, who are just anti-infantry, but can only shoot one bullet per round. Now, notice at the bottom of their little description the likes. This is one of the things I do complain about the game and the series as a whole, as it tries to introduce personality quirks to characters and how some will fight better next to others, but the whole system doesn't really do a good enough job, in my opinion, of properly letting the player know what's good or bad. You basically have to remember who's who when it comes to selecting them for combat. But getting out of the combat here, we can talk a little bit about how progression works. If you notice at the top right, there is two resources, experience and currency. This guy seems to be in each one. So how it works is each class basically levels up instead of characters. As you get experience for fighting, you'll be able to put points in and level them up. Leveling up classes, I should say, raises their experience or their health, and it unlocks potentials. And potentials are essentially bonuses that can pop up during a match. So for her, she's not good in desert areas, but if she's near other shock troopers, she'll get enhanced stats when crouching, their attack boosts, and each character will have a different cross-section of potentials. But in order to get more, you have to level up. And because you level up as a class instead of as individuals, it means that no one person falls by the wayside. And similar to Fire Emblem, if a character is killed or runs out of health and isn't rescued, they are dead for the rest of the game. Now the other side of progression is how you upgrade gear. As you play through the game's story, you will unlock new upgrades. Now the basic level, it's just simply raising stats. Max M1 is going to be worse than Max M2. But when we get down to this level, you can start to differentiate guns. One gun may have more bullets but do less damage. Another gun may be more accurate, but it may not be as effective against specific types. And each class in the game has their own respective tree of upgrades. So you are limited by where you're at in the story, as well as the amount of money. And you get both money and experience based on how well you fight. Now the tank is special. You can unlock permanent upgrades, again, that cost a lot, but are locked to the campaign, as well as special items that you can attach to your tank, such as additional ammo, more accuracy, and so on. So what you do is come over here, and based on how much space you have in the right, determines what passives you can equip. It's not super fancy or complicated, but it's just a nice way of allowing you to customize your tank. And this kind of progression, or dual progression, I do like about Valkyria Chronicles and the series as a whole. It means that you don't have to worry about not upgrading your troops because you want to upgrade the classes and vice versa. Having the dual currency in this case allows you to spend as much as you want on either mode without being punished. And the fact that it avoids one of the biggest tropes of tactical strategy games, which is having to make sure everyone levels up evenly or you run the risk of being unprepared, means that you can focus greater on the combat rather than, oh, I have to grind 10 maps to make sure that my lowest character is keeping pace. Now, there is grind though in the game, in the form of skirmishes and leveling up characters. So we're going to jump into a skirmish next, and hopefully the game will like it when I cut out of it, and we'll talk a little bit about combat, and then we'll do one more where I'll talk about the downsides, or why the series didn't exactly catch fire as well as it should have. But we'll talk about that in a second. Valkyria Chronicles is a very interesting take on the whole idea of a tactical RPG, or in this case a tactical strategy game. How it works is that this is turn-based. First we go and then the opponents. If you look at the top, you'll notice the CP status, or the CP resources. These allow me to directly control one unit at a time. So, what I'm going to do is we'll select someone here.
Get ready to die, imps.
And now we're in. Also, notice the hand-drawn aesthetic of the game, which is a really nice touch that they sadly removed with the latest one, Valkyria Revolution. So, combat or controlling this unit works like this. At the bottom, you'll notice my action gauge, and it will deplete as long as I'm doing any kind of movement. When it runs out, I can't move the character anymore. You can hide behind sandbags for cover. Got stuck there, which is not good. Hit the right button to go into combat. So So the idea is we have free aim. And I'm going to try and take this guy out. Headshots do more damage, obviously.
Die, die, die!
You can only attack once per turn, but you can move after attacking as long as there's gauge left. You can select multiple characters if you would like, but they'll have less of an action gauge for each subsequent round.
The hunt begins.
So we're going to take our sniper out. Also, when characters are hiding behind sandbags, they take reduced damage. Keep that in the back of your mind for now, because we will be coming back to that issue later in this video. So come on, take the shot. Damn, got her.
Sweet dreams.
Again, if you miss, you don't get a second shot with that character for that turn. Hope her potential just activated. So now let's take. Now engineers can recover as well. The ammo or can heal vehicles and units pretty easily.
Moving out.
Scouts have the longest mobility out of the entire group, but they can be taken down by gunfire. Now to stop this, or knock out this protection, we're going to use a grenade. Specialty ammo or grenades are refilled once per turn. Now, as you can see, we have a heavy guy right there. I have 4 more actions I can take this turn.
Engaging the enemy. Well, hello, my lovelies.
Alright, now if you look at the guy's stat in the upper left, you'll notice he has a CP marker on him. Well, that means that this is a commander unit, and when he dies, the enemy loses a point of CP.
I'm just warming up.
Target silenced. Head for the next one.
Again, we're out of movement, so I have to just leave him there. But what I will do is use 1 more
Engaging the
CP,
enemy.
and this will let me move him up. Again, Lancers are anti-vehicle, but they're not anti-bullets. So let's see if we can take him out again. Get on. Okay, 4 shots versus 16. So you basically always want to go for headshots in this game. You gotta get just right on there. Come on. Come on. There we go. Fire.
Take this.
Got him. With the Lancer dead,
Just warming up.
we can now move out our tank. Tanks are special. They take 2 command points to use,
Entering combat.
and they have body and tread health. They can also just demolish almost anything they run into.
Check your ammunition.
There's a fuel marker. If you look right there, there's like kind of like a radiator on the back. That's the weak point, and it allows infantry units to actually do damage normally to a tank, and for the Lancers to just wreck them if they get that fire. Alright. Say goodnight, buddy. I hope. Boom.
Who are these guys?
And that takes care of that. So now our phase is over, and now it's time for the enemy to move. Again, units will passively fire on units as they're running. Same goes for when you're trying to get closer. Now, even though we only see these guys, there could be more hidden.
Engaging the enemy.
Characters will also recover some health at the start of each new turn.
I don't like.
Okay, can we get the kill?
How about this?
Nice. Even behind cover, we were just able to beat him with sheer bullet power.
I'm just warming up.
You're doing well. Just keep it.
Now, for some maps, we have to capture a point. And capturing camps will also allow us to redeploy units there instead of at our normal base. So that's what scouts are usually good for. Come on.
Toward the objective.
Look at that movement. Alright, come on, get the kill. If a unit doesn't kill their target, the defending unit will get a chance for a counterattack. So at this point, we've basically won this map, because the second I take this over, we win. So, let's occupy. And mission complete.
Operation complete. We took their base.
Again, the hand-drawn look gives it a very different feel compared to other games. So here's our results. And getting the A rank in this is incredibly difficult, I found. You basically almost have to beat a map on a single turn. And just, quite frankly, just ignore the enemies to complete the objective. Which, quite frankly, can be very dangerous if you're trying to keep people alive. Now, with those resources in check, we can come back over here. And I should have enough to upgrade. And this is basically one of the things you're going to have to do, especially when you're trying to beat the later missions in the game. So we have just enough to upgrade a sniper. Yeah, let's do it. So we can show it off. There we go. All of our snipers are now leveled up. And that's that.
Come back.
And then we can pop back over here to R&D. Now, we haven't unlocked anything new, but I can make sure that we've got everything unlocked so far, or purchased, I should say. Hand grenades, uniforms, blast suits. And then, you gotta remember, the tank stuff is kept separate. I don't know why it is. Alright, so we've unlocked. Keep our treads. Let's go for this. That's done, and now I can fit this in for an extra round of ammo. Good. Alright, so as you saw, the combat of Valkyria Chronicles is very different from other games, and it kind of, again, is a merge of the tactical strategy with something that's more JRPG based. And that is great. That's the best part of this game. But as we're going to talk about next, there are some issues and some mechanic conflicts that I think tend to break my rose-tinted glasses. And to show off why, I'm going to pull up the story mission that I'm on now, because it is a really good example of kind of the problems and the difficulty spikes that the Valkyria Chronicles series is known for. So hopefully the game will be kind enough to load, and I will see you all in a second. Hey everybody, this is going to be kind of a weird thing to do here for these dissecting designs, but as it turns out that the video that I've had in mind is so long that trying to cut everything together into one thing, YouTube wouldn't let me do it. So, what we're going to be doing for this video for Valkyria Chronicles is this part is going to strictly end here and just cover the good of the game. And part 2, which is going to go up alongside of it, will specifically cover my problems with the title, showing it off on a full mission, which I didn't want to cut anything out because The story missions are just a really good example of where the difficulty spikes and the kind of design conflicts tend to take place in the series. So, this video is going to end here. There will be a link to part 2 below. I'll also include a link from part 2 to part 1 in that video as well. But that's going to do it for this part, so I hope you enjoyed what I liked about Valkyria Chronicles. Now you can tune into the video about what I didn't like. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And come back around 10 Eastern for regular streaming. For a collection of my writings as well as weekly podcasts on game development, be sure to check out game-wisdom.com. Follow me on Twitter at GWBycer for updates throughout the day. And to help support everything that I do, you can find me on Patreon under GWBycer or Game Wisdom. Your donations can help to keep things running, and when we hit some goals, it will mean more content for everyone to enjoy. So, thanks again for watching, and be sure to come back for daily discussions on game design on the Game Wisdom channel.